Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Real ResQ, presented by Vertical Helicast. Go to helicast.com to check out all your Vertical Podcast network. Not only does it host the Real ResQ Podcast, it also has the Hangar Z Podcast, the Helicopter Podcast, and all of the Vertical MRO podcasts. Now, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Bell, Above and Beyond Flight. Check them out at bellflight.com. Precision Aviation Group. Their precision is the key to your performance. Check them out at precisionaviationgroup.com. And the Real ResQ Store. Get all your swag to support this podcast at therealresqstore.com. Now, coming up in this episode, we have the opportunity to sit down in person at the Las Cruces Air and Space Expo in New Mexico. There we are joined by Frost, the Fast Response Operational Safety Team members, which include Joe Sarber, Bob Yanacsek, Tim Spencer, Matthew Hall, Luke Lansdell, Cory Britt, and Lori Evans. We actually go a step further and do an entire documentary, which you can find on the Real ResQ YouTube channel. It is incredible. What these guys do behind the scene is awesome. But this podcast takes their individual stories as to what they do back at their firehouse, and it gives us a whole nother perspective. So please welcome the entire Frost team to this episode. Now let's go. My name is Jason Quinn. I am United States Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer number 500. These are my rescues and rescues from those of us that put our lives on the line every day so others may live. This is the Real ResQ Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Real ResQ Podcast. Oh my gosh, I am with the Frost team. Man, you guys joined me. As a matter of fact, I have Joe over here. I got Bob over here. You guys joined me to talk about all about Frost and what you guys do. And you invited me to an air show in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And I was like, yeah, let me talk to my wife and see if we can make that happen. And poof, here we are together. I've got 7 of you guys here with the team. Starting with my left, we've got Matt from Georgia. What's up, Matt?
Hey, how are you?
I'm
Matthew
good.
Hall from Georgia.
Thanks, buddy. And then to his right, we've got Luke from Georgia.
How's it going? Luke Lansdell from Rome, Georgia.
Right on. And then to his right, we've got Bob. What's up, Bob?
How you doing, Bob? Yanacsek from Monroe, North Carolina.
Right on. Thank you very much. And then to his right, we got Tim all the way from Tennessee. But before that,
via Reno, Nevada.
Over Reno, Nevada.
For Cory.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. Tim, what's your full
That
name?
could be one of our stories.
Yeah, okay.
Full name's Tim Spencer.
Tim Spencer, nice to meet you, man.
You too.
And then to my right, we've got Lori.
Lori Evans, South Carolina.
Nice, thanks, Lori. And then to her right, we've got, oh, God bless. We
No
got
pressure.
Cory.
No pressure.
What's up, dude? Cory?
Cory Britt from Oklahoma City.
Right on. And then to his right, we've got Joe Sarber, the one of the founders, him and Bob, of Frost.
Yeah, good to be back here in Las Cruces.
No doubt. It's good to see you guys. So for everybody that's not watching this, and actually, so we are recording this, but fact of the matter is you're not going to be able to see any of this because it's dark, and we're sipping on a little beverage, sitting in front of a little campfire outside of the hotel here. I'm pretty excited. So
Real feng shui.
Totally.
Yeah, set the mood.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with this. I'm going to help my boy John Gray out with the Hangar Z podcast. So we're going to do drink of the day. Oh my God, that smells delicious. So Matt, what are you drinking over there?
Crayon apple and crayon.
What?
Crayon apple and crayon.
Is that a girl drink or is that? I'm just playing it. I'm playing.
I'm a man. I'm drinking straight bourbon.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey.
I'm a vodka ginger ale.
Vodka and ginger ale, right on.
Yeah, we're doing Makers Neat.
Oh, Makers on the Rocks.
Cheers.
Right on. Lori?
It's vodka straight all the way.
Ooh, girl, what's up? All right. Cory, what you got?
I got to represent the Midwest and the South. We're just going IPA beer right
Yeah,
here.
hey, I'm good with that. Hey, what kind of IPA you got? Which one?
It's a New Belgium Imperial IPA.
Right on. I dig that. And Joe, what you got?
Well, I'm afraid to say after you scrutinize Matt, but I'm drinking cranberry and
Crown apple.
Crown apple.
I love it. That's cool. All right, John Gray with the Hangers Eat Podcast. Thank you for the drink of the day, gentlemen. All right, and then to throw a little shout out to my man Val from the MRO podcast. He has one question that he asks all his guests at the very end, and it's a yes or no question. Does pineapple, is it allowed on pizza?
Nope.
Oh, wait, say that again.
No.
Ooh,
Yeah, absolutely.
Not in my house.
Yes.
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 No.
Absolutely. Hands down.
oh man. So we got the winner circle. The yes, I'm gonna throw that out there. You're welcome, Val. I told you. Right on. Well, hey guys, you know what? I appreciate you guys being here and joining me. This is kind of a special moment for me. Like I said, I got to join you guys with this event, and what's cool about this is we get, or like I'm gonna say, I get behind the scenes look at exactly not only what you guys do, but how you guys as a team prepare for the upcoming air show and all that goes into it. And today was cool because we actually went in and Joe, you were there teaching the local fire department, like what to do, how to do it, and like what the expectations were. And then your capabilities going in there. I'm excited about tomorrow because tomorrow we're going to the airfield. I get to possibly drive probably not. No,
We can figure something out.
that's what I'm talking about. I'm on the charge. What's up? I like high five. I'll take that. I'm sorry. But and then we have a whole lot more coming with that as far as what you guys do. But what's special about tonight is that we get to go around and you guys get together. We get to have a couple of drinks and tell some stories about a little bit where you're from and what you guys do. So everybody here is on a fire department except for, well, actually 3 of us because I'm not either. So we got Bob, fellow law enforcement. What's up,
There you
dude?
go.
All right. And we got Lori. Lori's just in charge of this team. She's logistics. She makes everything happen. You guys can all say you're welcome to Lori. Go ahead.
You're welcome, Lori.
You're welcome, Lori. That was for you to tell them you're welcome. Tell us, say you're welcome. Say it.
You're welcome.
Nice. So, yeah, I'm gonna drop it over to you guys because whatever you want to talk about, Joe. Let's start with you, man.
Yeah, so happy to have you here and kind of give you an idea of what goes on behind the scenes for us to get ready for an air show. It's not we just show up to an air show and work the air show and we go home. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, site surveys, training the local fire department, make sure our equipment's ready to go, our gear is ready to go. And of course, we've got some team training we're going to do tomorrow. You can be a part of that. We got to make sure we're current on everything and we just keep our knowledge up to par. So we've got all our information loaded onto our iPads. We're ready to pass it off to the fire department. And I believe we're show ready. So just now at this point, we're up to some hands-on training.
Nice. Who's the newest teammate that you have on here?
That would be Cory.
Oh,
Yeah.
Cory. Are you up for the challenge?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I came on in February. I'm the oldest new guy in history. And I embrace it. Me and Tim kind of rushed together, but Tim had this foothold in. So I have to. My task is to change Tim's diapers.
Oh, damn.
Can you take a break?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But-
No, I don't need a diaper.
No,
Thank you.
but
Give me a minute.
I mean, honestly, I can't even express to you what this team means to me and the whole process of getting on it. It's the brotherhood I have away from the fire station. I've met these 2 guys for the first time, and I felt like I've known them my whole life.
Define these 2 guys.
Matt and Luke.
Okay, because you remember, like
Yeah,
everybody's
they
listening.
can't. Yeah,
Like not
absolutely.
everybody can see what's
Sure.
going on. So you
Matt and
gotta-
Luke, we had a great conversation last night, and I feel like I would go to any structure fire with them right now. The
Oh, yeah?
worst of my career. I know their values from talking to them. I can tell by their mannerisms like they're my brother.
Nice.
And that's what this team is. I feel like us getting out here early is almost a decompression before we get into our actual operation.
Yeah.
We all know the risks that are involved in the air show. we're able to kind of unwind, but still train to our nth degree. We all know the risk, but we get to kind of lay back a little bit, even though we're preparing for what could be.
Yeah.
We want to be
Nothing.
easy.
Yeah.
You know,
You hope the call volume is zero.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
want to go enjoy an air show or an air race.
Totally.
Right? Yeah. And I will tell you from the new guy aspect, the gratitude and the honor this team has built through the air show community, from what I've seen personally, and like when I wear the shirt of this, thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do. I don't feel like I've earned that. That's what these guys before me have done. And I've seen that firsthand about what they've established, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
That's pretty awesome. Man.
Yeah, it's genuinely just huge.
Right on. Dude, I appreciate that, man. That's good. Yeah, you guys have built something amazing here. Like, well done. But so let me bounce over to Luke. Luke, how'd you get in touch with this?
So Frost came down to operated an air show in my hometown, and I was working for the fire department there. And I think we did the show 3 times together, maybe, before we kind of really got connected. And I showed some interest, and pretty quickly they just adopted me in. And I've been with the team ever since. And it's to reiterate what Cory said, it's been a pleasure the whole time. And I do feel like over the years, now Frost is getting a lot more recognition from not just from the fans, but from the participants as well. We had in Reno, we had a husband and wife that were both pilots, both competitors in the races, come up to us and tell us, you know, how much they appreciated what we do and how much it meant to them. And it was just really special to hear that from, you know, the husband and wife, what it meant that someone else was going to be rushing in if something happened to their spouse. So that was just a really cool experience, and I'm glad to have had it and had the opportunity to be a part of that.
Man, that's pretty cool.
So funny story about Luke and Matt, how they became part of the team.
Oh, I can't wait.
So we, Matt and I had worked a race at a racetrack the summer before, and Matt and I hit it off. He was a good guy. He was in charge of the race. And I talked to him briefly about what Frost does in our mission. He seemed pretty excited. And I'd worked with Luke. We had worked with Luke at a couple air shows, and we were at the point where we needed to expand the team. We were doing more shows than we could handle personnel-wise. So I talked to Bob about it, and Bob's like, hey, why don't we reach out to Luke? I mistake Luke for Matt, and I called up Matt, and I'm like, hey, we've got this air show out of state. What do you think?
Very true statement.
He's like, he calls me back a couple weeks later. He's like, I'm in, let's go. So it's time to head out to the air show. We meet at the airport, and I'm walking down the terminal expecting to see Luke. And I see Matt, and I'm like, oh, shit.
Wrong guy.
So, wrong guy. Yeah, right? So it all ended up working out. But
Luke.
Yeah. Well, it was
funny
funny because
story.
I met Joe at the airport. Right, we ended up on the same flight layover in Atlanta. I was like, I'll meet you guys in Atlanta, and Joe's walking a little fast. She's like, this isn't the guy I thought I hired. I'm like, what? It's like, well, who is he? Well, I think I think I know him, but I think he'll be okay. So it was funny that it all ended up working out great, but it was like literally not the person that we thought
I'm the mistake.
So
of
it's
the team.
almost like
Yeah.
the great
Yeah.
mistake. He's like, man, he's taller than I remembered him being.
yeah.
Is
It
that,
was-
is that anything like, oh, we're pregnant? Oh, oops. That's
Yeah,
not.
and see, I didn't even
Lauren, I
learn
apologize
of
for
the
that.
story until I was on the team for 2 years.
Yeah, right. So,
By the way, you were kind of a mistake.
yeah, it was a win-win though, right?
Well, that's a good thing, right? Hold on, wait, grab it.
You guys should have definitely made Matt wear my fire suit on the first show. That would have.
So for all
The Speedo
for
fire
those who
suit.
can't see, Luke's like 5'1" and Matt's like 5'11", so that'd have been like capris on Matt. 6'1",
Yeah.
sorry, 6'1". Yeah.
Nah,
6 foot,
but,
6 foot.
Facts matter.
Almost.
Yeah. Keep it factual here, gentlemen. Keep it facts. Keep it fact. Right on. Awesome, man. That's good. And let me come over. I'm gonna come to. Actually, let me come to you, Tim.
Sure.
Tim, how did you end up joining the team?
Well, this is kind of an interesting story.
Oh, I like this. I like this. The beginning
I'm
already.
glad you asked.
Oh, right on.
In 2017, was it 2017? Joe and Bob visited the Reno Air Races, where I just did my 40th year with the Reno Air Races doing crash fire rescue.
Okay.
I'm the chief of emergency services for that event, and they wanted to come. Joe called me up and says, "Hey, we really want to come check it out." I'm like, "I'd love to have you." He told me what they did. I thought that was really cool. Unfortunately, at the time, I didn't have room for them on the staff because I had a full crew.
Full crew of firefighters.
Yeah, full crew of firefighters.
Okay.
So, met these guys, thought what they were doing was phenomenal, and I just kept that one in my pocket for a while.
Yeah.
I told Joe, I said, "Hey, if I ever have a need, you guys are the first ones I'm calling." Well, then, what was it?
23.
23?
Yep, 2023.
As circumstances would have it, I had a need. And I called these guys, and they were super excited to come out and help. Did a fantastic job. Everybody loved them. I loved them. And being semi-retired now myself, I told Joe, I says, "Hey, I'd like to be part of you guys."
Oh,
So they took me on the team, and I was fortunate enough to get voted in.
nice.
So you imagine that phone call, right? So obviously we've done air shows. Air shows are a lot of fun. But when you get a phone call from Tim Spencer in the Reno area, he says, he's like, "Hey, we want Frost to come out." It's like going to the Super Bowl. It is a huge deal, and we're so fortunate to be part of the Reno Air Race Association, which is now Roswell Air Race Association, National Championship Air Races. And it's a huge learning curve for us, but we're just so honored. It's like going to the Super Bowl. So pretty excited.
That's pretty cool.
And to add to that,
Yeah.
what Joe was just saying, during our transition moving from Reno to Roswell,
Yeah.
that was one of the things I put in the forefront was Frost coming with us.
Wow.
So the people in Roswell are fully accepting of that. They're actually going to be here tomorrow. We're going to train with those guys.
Right.
They're
yeah,
excited
that's right.
about it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's all going great.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, that's super fun.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, I'm glad you got that. All right, so now I gotta go. I gotta go to you. Come on, Lori. So what happened? How did you get in? How did you get into this group? I mean, seriously, like, did they have to pay you, or like a lot of money, or just a little bit? All right, I'm just kidding.
No, this is definitely a volunteer role for me at the moment. So I am in the aviation industry a little. I work at the Charlotte Douglas International Airport on the ramp. And I love aviation, so I started volunteering at air shows across the country. And since I fly for free, I would hop on a plane and go to an air show and volunteer. And that's how I met the CEO, Bob Yanacsek, and I met him actually at the Monroe Air Show, and loved what these guys do. And I saw them in action and really believed in, the cause that they had and what they were working for. So I told them what I could do for them from a logistics standpoint, and I weaseled my way in. And about the same time Cory was brought on to the team, I was also. And so now I do logistics for them. I work on partnerships, social media, website, do write-ups for them, whatever it is that they need, I take care of for them. So it's a great time.
Yeah. Do they like make you do like? Well, I already saw the grocery list you go get for them, which is amazing, by the way.
My to-do list is several pages long, and I just keep it going. I have lots of ideas on the back burner and on the front burner, so just working through the priority list. My goal is to help advance their cause and do anything that I can to bring attention to what it is that they're doing.
Oh, that's super cool. I actually got to laugh because you were talking about like, what are we going to do on Thursday night? And I'm like, oh my God, that would be amazing. And you're like, yeah. So like your party planning or preparation is amazing. I'm just going to throw that out there for you. Look, kudos to you.
Thank you.
So
I appreciate
I'm
it.
going to just say something to Lori's props. We were at Reno the other couple of weeks ago at the air show, 13 hours in the suit on the machine, right? She did check in on us numerous times. Do you need water? Do you need this? So that's a huge aspect of thank you. You know, I mean, when you can't leave the machine because you're watching the air show and you've run out of water, that people don't think about that, but that's huge that she comes around and checks on us. And like, hey, do you need this? Do you need that? Or whatever. I mean, I know I was extremely grateful. 40-mile-an-hour winds, we were eating dust. It was a terrible day, but that was greatly appreciated. Yeah, I'd love a bottle of water. Thank you.
That's awesome.
You know, it's just the little things that go unnoticed.
You know, I think there's probably room in that trailer for a dirt bike. I'm throwing that out there for you,
Possibly.
Lori.
I was
You know-
thinking about a motorized.
Vespa.
Yeah, there you go. So that would be awesome. I do travel the distances a little bit and walk across airports to get these guys food and water, but I think that's a small part of my appreciation to them for everything that they do too, because they're out there on the machines, they're in the heat and their fire suits, and I cannot imagine. I'm in shorts and a t-shirt and sweating, and what they're doing is much more important. So I'm happy to be a part of it.
So while I was in the Coast Guard, we use the term "choose your rate, choose your fate." Hey, that's what they picked. All right, put the suit on, get hot, suckers. You'll be in the AC. Maybe you need a car. Forget a dirt bike.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
We'll get you the Hummer. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Wait a minute, the truck that's going to pull the trailer, you can just drive around in that.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm trying to help you out.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Lori, thank you so much for sharing that. Now, for you guys that have all been around, and Bob, I want to come to you first because you and I are, well, I guess Lori, we're kind of the oddballs out here. We're surrounded by firemen. I'm just saying. Oh, I stole your mic. Stand by. Let me steal that back. Sorry, buddy.
It's a scary thought to be surrounded by firefighters, right? Yeah.
We're going to divert real quick to thank our sponsors.
Precision Aviation Group. Mission critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory, globally 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
The greatest part about this conversation for me right now is that, again, we've got 3 guys from Georgia. We've got North Carolina, yourself. We've got Reno. Okay, I'm going to say Reno, Nevada, now Tennessee. Wait a minute, real quick. You lived and worked in Reno, but you've now moved to Tennessee and you live retired.
Retired from Reno, moved to East Tennessee.
Gotcha. Understood. Okay. So your work side is all Reno. Okay. We're going to say pretty much for that. Okay. And then we've got Oklahoma, and then we've got another one from Georgia. And Joe, we've already heard your stories, but if you want to add any more in here. But for you guys, one question is, do you guys share stories like about your departments and what you've done? Is that anything that comes up when you guys get together? Like, oh, dude, one time, or like last week we had X, and then all of a sudden you start running stories around each other? Joe.
Sure. So the fun stuff is very, very minor part of our job. It's primarily our job is medical calls anymore. So if we get to do something, what we signed up for, fighting fire or running a nasty car wreck, of course we like to talk to each other about it because it's almost making each other jealous. Like, I ran 20 med jobs. Well, I had a structure fire, or I had a car wreck. So of course we talk war stories, and because we're all so like-minded, we can tell our stories and we all get each other. Whereas if we were to talk to somebody on the street, so they would find it weird that we don't take joy in somebody losing property or houses, but it's what we signed up for, right? It's fun to us because it's something that not many people get to do. To put that gear on, to go into a house, have fire crawling up above you, below you, whatever it is. It's an adrenaline rush for us that doesn't get to happen very often.
Yeah, exactly. No, believe me when I tell you, I understand and know the feeling. That's why we have a dark sense of humor, and most people don't understand it. Oh my gosh, you're so insensitive. No, I'm not. It's the job I've done, and when you've seen the shit I've seen, you would understand as well. But come on, it's a volunteer. You can volunteer and do some of the stuff we do. I'm just going to throw that out there to everybody, all right? Now, Bob, let me come back to you. As the only police officer on the team, prior, retired, well done, sir, out of Mecklenburg County.
Well, thank you.
Yep. He did graduate. He graduated. And actually, there was a rumor around here that you might have been a volunteer firefighter for a short time.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sly
I was.
guy.
You know, it's funny. My entire family. Yeah, my family has always been in public service. So my dad did 22 years in the Air Force. My brother's a police officer with me in Charlotte. All my uncles were in the military. My brother was in the National Guard. Mom was a school teacher. I was a volunteer firefighter. I was a lifeguard instructor, Special Olympics coach. Ended up being a police officer, following my brother's footsteps. And we actually rode.
Can I interrupt him there?
Yeah.
Obviously, you couldn't pass the test to get on a full-time fire department.
Well, I tell you, as I joke with Joe, I don't know how to bake brownies. So that's, and the firefighters, that's like job number one, right? So
It's so funny because he called me up. I was at the station. We were getting ready to head out to McMinnville, Oregon. And he calls me up. We just got done eating dinner, and we're talking about the upcoming trip and logistics and stuff like that. And like, oh shit. He's like, what? I'm like, the brownies are burning. I need to go.
I'd call him every time and be like, "You busy? You baking brownies?" He's like, "No, fighting fires or whatever." And then sure enough, caught up. It's like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Burnt the damn brownies." I was like, "See, I told you." It is true.
Yeah, it totally is.
Yeah.
You know what? I can relate for part of this. So I was on the helicopter side in Coast Guard, right? Well, the C-130, they had a little oven on their airplane, on the C-130.
Wow.
So they would cook brownies and stuff on the airplane. Well, we'd be in the back, like freezing our ass off.
Right.
Like, oh man, come on, man. Yeah,
Making
so I understand. I understand your pain. All right.
Yeah.
But all right, so let me twist this a little bit. While you were a cop in Mecklenburg County in Charlotte area, you actually had a couple of rescue missions and calls on your own. Like,
It's funny. It's like, and in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, we pretty much would run anytime medic or fire department ran.
yeah.
At least in the neighborhoods I patrol, because they were just bad neighborhoods. And I wouldn't say bad. It's just the nature of the beast. So we always joked, where it's like, well, don't get there too fast, because you get there before the medics or the firefighters, then you actually become a medic or a firefighter. And we did that a lot. And over 30 years, we were always doing CPR on somebody or tourniquets or whatever. So even though we're different, I've kicked in many doors on burning buildings, went into burning houses.
Without the gear, I'll throw that.
Right, without the gear.
Oh, these firemen have all the special gear.
Disrupted the fire flow.
Just made our job 10 times harder.
Correct. I'm like, hey,
Right in front of the house.
Medals.
right. I saw this on TJ Hooker. It's got to be the right.
Citations.
Was that?
I used to write those citations for the cops.
It's like, I saw this on TJ Hooker. It's got to be the right way to do it, right? So we always, in Charlotte, we always had a great relationship with medic and fire.
Yeah.
So I would trust them, and be honest with you, many times we go to a medical call or fire call, and we'd end up getting in a fight with somebody because there was someone's high on drugs or whatever, and those guys would actually join in. And so we had this great relationship with the fire department and medic and everything else, because
I shouldn't say that.
it was always one big family, because we're always there to do the same thing. The only difference was they never had to do any paperwork.
Yeah.
So it was always on us. If we got in a fight with somebody, it's like, well, what happened to this guy? I don't know. I think a firefighter jumped on him. It's like, well, he disappeared. So, so I had to do the paperwork after that. But
We had to get back to our brownies. We didn't disappear.
So the Charlotte, and my uncle Bill he retired from the Charlotte Fire Department.
Nice.
And he actually, his last tour was as an ARF unit at the Charlotte Douglas Airport. So it just, public service has always been in my family's blood. So it just kind of, it was a calling for me to do something after some tragic events in the airshow industry. And I was an airshow pilot for many, many years, flying a German airplane, and that's where I kind of saw the need.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so let's come back to a story, like something that stands out to you. What's a rescue mission?
Hey, so and there's so many in 30 years. And I forgot to tell you this one earlier. So there was one of my last tours was at Charlotte Douglas Airport. It's kind of like the retirement gig towards the last 5 years. You think it would be nice and easy. Amazingly enough, the airport stuff is not as easy as you would think, just because the traveling public and everything else. And it's great. We did CPR on people all the time. There's one incident where a 20-year-old girl, she's probably in her 20s, whatever, got stuck between two cars where they load and unload passengers. And I was inside drinking, I hate to say it, Starbucks latte or whatever. And I was assigned to carry an AR-15. That was my job. Walked around with the AR all day. And some TSA guys came in, and they just looked distraught, and they said there's blood everywhere outside. So I got there, and this young lady had been stuck between two cars. This older gentleman forgot to put the car into park, and it was in drive, so it wedged her between two cars, which in and itself isn't that bad. It wasn't like she was just crushed. But when in panic, they backed it off of the car, and the front license plate was there, and it basically was like a blade, and it sliced her upper thigh down to the bone, right through her femoral artery.
Oh.
And it was just a horrendous scene. And me and my buddy were the first ones there. So we actually, and being a tactical medic, we trained for tactical stuff, how to save ourselves and other officers in a shooting or whatever in the first 2 minutes to save your life. So we all had tourniquets. So sure enough, it was like an OR scene to where you could literally look into her leg and see everything. And bless her heart, she was just a young, pretty little girl, and she was going into shock and everything else. So we put direct pressure and put a tourniquet on her and everything else. And as crazy as it is, if you're going to have a heart attack or get injured, airport's a pretty good place.
Oh,
because
no doubt,
there
right?
always seems to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Or we have on-scene medics and everything else. So medics got their comments later, and it did save her life. So it was one of those that we do save people's lives all the time, but you never really see the outcome. And that one was a direct outcome to where, they instantly started doing work, and the doctor was there and was like, yeah, her femoral artery is pretty much lacerated. And so, the fact of putting a tourniquet on her within 30 seconds was a life-saving thing. So then I went back and drank my latte.
Well done, Bob.
Yeah. So
Dang,
that was one of the most recent ones. Yeah.
Is that firefighter approved? Was that good? That's medic approved? I'll tell you that.
That's medic approved.
Wait, is there anybody else that's a paramedic here? Okay, paramedic approved.
Yeah. So it was it's not, you don't want to say it was a good feeling, but you actually like to use your skills and stuff that you train for, obviously. Yeah. And we did that my whole career, and I told you some stories earlier that, the blood and gore and stuff, everything else is for side notes, that's great storytelling, and like I said, we have a dark sense of humor, I think, because that's just, we deal with it all the time. It's the way we deal with it. But when you have people that actually survive, do CPR on someone, and you're like, that guy is dead. I mean, he is DRT, as we say in the police work, dead right there. So that guy is DRT, and medic gives him some wonder drugs, and 3 days later, you see him back in line at TSA, and you're like,
what the?
Dude, you are dead. I mean, you are dead. And they hauled you off. He's like, yeah, I know. And it's,
wow.
And it works out.
Yeah, that's pretty
so
cool.
That's a good feeling.
Man, that's awesome. Right on. Well, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that, Bob.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
All right, Luke, I'm going to bounce to you over there. No, he's got one.
I got one.
So, whatever you got, man. Give me something that stands out to you, like rescue call.
The story that comes to mind is one that kind of roasts on cops a little bit. So I guess I'm going to take the opportunity.
Nice.
So not very long ago, we get a call. I've been fortunate to be at a station that has had an aerial everywhere I've been. So we've got a 110-foot ladder. We get a call for a guy that's allegedly, 70 foot in a tree, and he's on drugs.
You're gonna get a guy out of a tree?
Well, is
the cat with him? I'm just kidding. I
knew where you were going. So. Immediately I'm like, he's not 70 foot in a tree, because no matter what you get dispatched to, it's almost always wrong.
Right.
So we get out there, and the dude is 85 foot in the tree. It's the opposite direction of what I was thinking, and he's kind of off in the woods a little bit. So we can't get a truck in there anywhere near him, and so we're trying to come up with a different tactic, and PD is still in command of the scene. So they're like, well, we're just going to try to talk him down. So they went and found the guy's mom. They had gone to serve a warrant that morning, and he got violent with them, struck one of the officers, and was high the whole time, ran from him, and climbed up the tree to try to get away. And so they bring his mom out there, and like, hey, man, we got your mom here. Come talk to your mom and come down. He goes, I hate my mom. They're like, well, okay, so we're going to come up with plan number 3. So they move the mom out of the way. And we're still trying to talk this guy down the whole time. And you're having a conversation with the guy, and he doesn't want to talk to anybody. He said, I don't want to talk to police. Like, I done socked that one guy in the eye this morning. I fed him breakfast when he come to my house. And the guy sent, the cops down there with a black eye, like right behind the tree. And he's just waiting.
Waiting
for a guy to
he's going to get back to him.
100%. So Long story short.
No, wait, no. This is not how this podcast goes. This is long story long, dude.
Okay.
You
All
let
right.
it ride,
So
man.
full details then. We basically have no other option but to try to talk the guy down. He's still being very hostile, so us going up and doing a rope rescue is out of the question. So we're trying to talk the guy down. He's still very high. He's climbed 85 feet in a tree with one sock and a pair of cargo shorts on and nothing else. And what ends up happening is he says, well, I'll tell you what, if you can guess what song I'm singing, I'll climb down some. So he starts singing Johnny's Daddy's Taking Him Fishing. And I'm like, okay, I got that one. That's Tim McGraw. He's like, okay. It comes down 10 feet. And then he sings another song. And my chief's like, I got no idea. Somebody help me out. And somebody was like, that's Eminem. He's like, okay, that's Eminem. So the guy comes down 10 more feet. Well, we finally get him down to about 20 feet off the ground. We throw a ladder, try to talk him onto the ladder. And as soon as one foot hit that ladder, fire PD, everybody's going up the ladder and starts putting hands on him and bringing him down. And sure enough, that cop cuffed him up, went to catch his head before he put him in the cop car, and he roughed him up a little bit and put him in there. But
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Okay,
no,
well,
he
allegedly.
did. He did. Yeah, he did.
Allegedly.
So he did exactly what he was supposed to do as a law officer.
well, the guy was still very combative. But it was a crazy story.
My God, dude, that's kind of funny. Again, you can't make this stuff up.
You can't. You never know what you're going to.
You never know what you're getting. And again, you're out of Rome, Georgia, right?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome, man. Right on. All right, Tim, I'm gonna roll to you now.
Oh, I thought we were going clockwise.
No,
I guess
I'm
not.
kind of jumping
Okay.
around.
Well, I'm glad Luke told that story. 'Cause
Okay.
I've been sitting here thinking, and it's like 42 years of stories. How do I pick one that's appropriate for?
That's the greatest part. They don't have to be appropriate.
I know, but there's possibly people out there that might know me. That
Okay,
listening
well,
to
in that
this,
case.
so I don't know, And I don't want. One of the funniest things when I was a captain.
Yeah.
Some of the craziest stuff comes out, and these guys can attest to this. When you're returning from a call, right? I mean, it's like some of the funniest stuff. I told my crew, I says, they had that show Taxi Cab Confessions years ago.
Oh yeah. God, I remember
I said,
that.
man, if we put a GoPro in the engine and recorded some of the conversations we had coming back from calls, we'd all be fired. But I thought we could record this stuff and when we retire, we could sell it to HBO.
Awesome.
It'd be
So
hilarious.
we've often said if we wrote a book, nobody would believe it.
They wouldn't believe it.
No. It's just unreal. You think you're making all this stuff up, but just like you said, it's Taxi Cab Confessions for
You
sure.
guys,
It is.
This is why I do this podcast. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Nobody believes that somebody's 85 feet in the tree and you gotta guess songs to get them down. Nobody believes that.
But it is Georgia.
That's true. That's true.
That's true. That's true. So I'm glad Luke told that story because it reminded me of one that I could tell in case my wife and children ever hear this podcast.
I love it.
And
I
I won't
love
have
it.
to be explaining I don't know. They understand me. Anyway, so I'm on duty, right? And my wife, we're missing a toast here. Can we take a
Oh yeah. You know what? We can do that right now. Is that mine?
I'm not sure
All
whether
right.
it's either vodka or.
We're doing it. We're doing a toast here, ladies and gentlemen. So we got a little. I don't know what I'm shooting here.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So
It doesn't matter.
Wait.
Just shoot it.
wait. No. Do we have a toast?
Safe weekend and great.
You want me to call it?
You call it.
Oh man!
go.
All right, you know what? All right, so this is for my buddy. So I'm gonna tell a story. One of my best friends growing up, name is Josh Avery. Absolutely love the guy. He would always say this toast at every shot that we did. So here's to you and here's to me, in hopes that we may never disagree. But if we do, fuck you. Here's to me.
Right.
Cheers.
Oh, I think that was Fireball
Woo,
Not sure what it
or
was.
Catch Fire.
Avery, that was for you, buddy.
Yep. All right, Avery.
Everyone has something a little bit different because we're cleaning up.
Oh man, damn! Thanks a lot.
It was like dealer's choice.
All right.
All right. So
Keep going, Tim.
back to story time.
Back to story time.
I'm at work. My wife calls me up. We're living up in this neighborhood, the outskirts of Reno in the forest with 80-foot pine trees, 80 to 100-foot pine trees. Beautiful neighborhood. And she says, hey, the neighbors just called. They got a kitten stuck in a tree. And I went, oh, gosh. And, I was getting off the next morning. It's December 23rd, by the way.
Oh, nice. Of course it is.
Yeah. And so I told him, well, you know what I was going to say. You never find cat skeletons in trees.
That's
what we
a
tell people.
true statement.
Yeah, because they'll either die and fall out of the tree or they'll come down, right?
And most of the time they'll come down.
Most of the time they'll come down.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
This is like a little kitten. I don't know. It was like 6-8 weeks old. And the neighbor's dog chased it up the tree and it kept going up and up and up. And so I said, okay, I'll be home in the morning. Tell her if it's still up in the tree tomorrow morning, I'll go up and get it. And I'm figuring, this cat's going to come down. It's cold. It's almost Christmas. Sure enough, I get home, the cat's still up in the tree. It's up even higher. I'm like, oh.
Probably crying too.
Oh, yeah, it is too. And all the neighbors are around. And I'm like, okay, I said I was going to get it. So I grabbed some climbing gear. I was on the tech rescue team, so I had some take-home gear. And I grabbed a laundry bag to put the cat in if I got up to it. So I climb up this tree. I finally get to the cat. It was kind of cool because I don't even like cats, right?
Yeah.
So everybody's kind of laughing at me for that. Get a hold of this little kitten, and that little kitten was so happy. I put it in the laundry bag, and I stuffed it in my coat, and it was just purring the whole way down. And I get about halfway down the tree, and there's a news crew. And I'm like, oh, I am so screwed now,
That's
It's like,
awesome.
'cause, one of our rules in the firehouse, and I don't know about you guys, but if you get on the news or in the newspaper, it's pie and ice cream.
Ours is ice cream for sure.
You gotta buy pie and ice cream.
Oh yeah, if you show up on the news, you're buying pie and
The
ice
first
cream.
firehouse that calls you, that sees you,
Yeah.
they'll call you up and just say pie and ice cream, and you got to buy it.
What about you guys? You guys have any of that? Like pie and ice cream?
Not at Carroll County.
You will
No.
now. Yeah.
After this podcast, for sure.
You're welcome. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Wait a minute, hold on.
You're welcome.
Lori, way to drop in there. All right, pie and ice
So
cream.
yeah, so I'm like, oh man, here we go. So I get down to the bottom, and everybody's like clapping and stuff, and I knew the cameraman because he'd filmed, a bunch of our fire scenes, and we'd see each other pretty regularly. And he's like, "What were you thinking, man? That was stupid." I'm like, "Yeah, it was, but I was kind of obligated because I told him I would go up and get the freaking cat,
Yeah.
if it was still up there." So anyway, that was kind of a fun story. I'll probably come up with a worse one here after we make a couple rounds, but
Okay.
anyway, that was kind of cool.
Dude, that's awesome.
And, I was also at the time, because I was active duty Air Force, is where I started as a firefighter. I was in the Air National Guard.
Oh, right on.
Went from active duty into the Air Guard. So the next guard drill, the first sergeant creates this medal and has a little charm of a kitten, on like a distinguished service medal, and they awarded that to me in formation at the. Yeah, it was kitten award. So the embarrassment kept on going. Yeah.
Man, that's a great story.
Yeah, good.
That is an excellent rescue. The fact that it kept going makes it even funnier.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's how you know it's a good rescue.
Yes.
Just like your first one. I'll leave it at that. You're welcome. That was for Luke, everybody. We're going to divert real quick to thank our sponsors. The RealResQStore.com. Your shop for all your podcast-worthy gear. From comfortable shirts to cozy mugs, we've got everything to showcase your love for your favorite podcast. So what are you waiting for? Head to the RealResQStore.com and let your gear do the talking. All right, Cory, I'm bouncing over to you, man.
Corey's got his.
I don't even know where to
personal life
start.
over
All
there.
right. You know what? Actually, here's what I'm going to tell you. So
Okay.
Cory and I have been in touch.
Yes.
You and I have been emailing back and forth. And,
Absolutely.
And you're actually going to come on and be a guest.
Yes, sir.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I've got some stories.
Yeah, you do have a couple stories. And
Mine are as good as the cat, though, or the naked guy in a tree.
it,
I mean,
was he naked? He wasn't
I mean,
naked.
I
What you want to hear, I
My-
guess.
yeah.
sorry, it's a long way
You know-
across the fire.
Oklahoma over here. is like, what?
Georgia.
What's that? Say it again.
We wear clothes in Georgia.
I'm sorry. So yeah,
Go ahead. Yeah, is there anything that stands out to you, like a rescue you've been on that just kind of like, oh man,
I mean, and I'm not discounting Tim by any means. He went on up in rank. I've stayed a company officer, so I've been probably more rubber on the road for 30 years.
Oh, good for you.
So,
By the way,
yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, is it?
No.
I mean,
no.
the fire service. I think,
No, I'm not
it's like-
discounting it at
yeah.
all, but I've still seen it and done it where he's gone on up and he has different job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's just different.
The retirement's definitely different.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I'm living in poverty, changing his diapers, and
And I'm pooping gold nuggets.
yeah. So
he's
you know
looking forward to it. Can I cash that in?
that's why you don't want to retire as a captain. All right.
Why do you think he volunteered to change my diaper?
But you know, I mean, honestly, so the rank deal. Once you kind of get to where we're at, you know, the 20 plus years, we all are grateful for each other.
Yeah.
We all know where each other's been. No matter if you're the guy still riding the back at 20 years, it doesn't matter. We know what each other is seeing.
Oh yeah.
Where you didn't promote, I would tell you that I've got some guys that never promoted, you know, and that was their life choice. That's fine. But they were an invaluable piece of my plan. I've got this 20-year guy that's riding backseat for me that I can just plug in and not have to babysit him because it's a yearling, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing to say I never promoted in the fire service or the police department. I'm not downgrading it at all. I think each person brings to an equal opportunity in each rank.
Oh yeah.
And just because you've made rank doesn't make you a superstar, you know, as we all know.
Yeah.
I mean, we all got asshole bosses.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why I promoted.
Yeah. And that's why I'm changing diapers.
Yeah.
I promoted.
No, I mean,
Let me clarify that.
I've seen
I
a
promoted
lot.
for self-defense.
Yeah, for sure. No, I've
Not
seen
that I'm an asshole and stuff that I
Self-preservation
needed
as
to
well.
do. Yeah.
I've seen a lot, and I've done a lot in my career.
Yeah.
You don't think Oklahoma City is a hotbed? I'm sure we'll speak later.
We will.
My very first call was Oklahoma City bombing
Oh,
in
my
1995.
God. What?
Yeah, that was call number one.
Call, man. That we're gonna have to talk about. You know what? You're gonna repeat this story, but what?
Yeah,
I
was in rookie school, and we were actually out running, doing our PT, and we heard a big boom. And our training center was probably about 5 miles away from the airport. I was like, an airplane crashed. So we ran up to the top of an overpass where we were running. And you could see a smoke plume coming from downtown. And our training staff came down and said, okay, everybody back upstairs, get your bunker gear. We're going downtown. The guys who are EMTs pair up with a non-EMT guy. I was already an EMT. About half of us were already EMTs.
Yeah.
I was at the pit.
What's
The crater
Oh, okay.
where the bomb went off
No way.
of the Ryder truck, and we were going in, and they called for a second bomb. They thought they had found another bomb. This went on the whole first day. So when they called that, I was fortunate enough that we grabbed a guy out of the building, on the outskirts of the building, covered in glass, lots of blood. 4 of us kind of stretchered him. And I'll be honest with you, I was one of the fortunate guys that got to pull someone out alive.
Wow.
I never know where that guy is today. I'd love to talk to him. And I don't know, but I feel fortunate because a lot of guys weren't able to do that. The very first day, a lot of people don't realize there was not a lot of rescue or recovery that first day, because in the federal building also housed the ATF. So they had bombs, training bombs, that looked identical to real bombs. They just didn't have the detonators. So as you're coming across and moving rubble, you come across a bomb, they think it's a secondary device. Evacuate the building.
Holy
So
cow.
there was a lot of that, you know. So that was my introduction to the fire service at, I would say, 12 weeks on the job,
Oh
you know,
my
in
God.
rookie school. So we were down there for 2 weeks working with federal agencies urban search and rescue task forces from all over the country. I worked in logistics. I worked in all many different aspects of the bombing. Some of the people I met perished in 9/11. I went up there. I see their name on there. I'm like, I knew that guy. I worked side by side with that guy. You know, I mean, I felt like I had a bond with some of those guys.
Wow.
Not that we ever talked anymore, but we had that brotherhood, just like I'm telling you,
Right.
that you make when you're on a call with somebody and like, hey, I know that guy.
Dang. Man.
So, you know, that I went to 9/11 Memorial, and that was tough.
Yeah.
I've gone to the Oklahoma City Memorial once. I took my best friend. I couldn't make it through all the way, and I said, I'll meet you outside.
Wow. Yeah.
They've had me. My class was the last class. There's only probably about maybe 10 people left on the job that made the Murrah building. We've had to go down there to the site. Every once in a while, they'll bring school kids, seniors, or some college groups to talk about what your experience was, right? And I'm like, I was your age. I was a year older than you when I made this. And so how would you react? You know, and I don't know. I never served in the military. I wish I would have, but that was as close that I could give back to how I could feel someone in had gone through combat or something, losing someone next to them. I'll tell you, the hardest thing was not seeing what I saw. It was finding toys from the daycare that children perished, finding them blocks away from where that building was. They had us working in 12-hour shifts. Leaving your 12-hour shift in those 2 weeks, the family members holding up pictures of their loved ones. Have you seen my loved one? Is there anything you can do? It made you feel about 1 inch tall that I need to be back in there. I don't want to leave.
Yeah.
I don't feel like, and you know, everybody was praising Oklahoma City Fire Department for what we did, but I personally did not feel like I did anything. Like I couldn't bring the comfort to those families that I needed, even if it was a recovery for their peace. Like I still need to be there. You're out there wandering. I don't want to leave. They're making me leave. I'm not a hero. I'm a guy doing my job. I want to bring you peace and comfort. And I think every person here around this campfire, including you and Lori, and I guess I'll say Bob, that's a servant's heart.
Yeah.
We all want to bring peace to everybody. You know, we all want to help. That's what we do. We jump into action. We want to make things better.
Right.
That's what we do. You know, and I feel like when we can't, we feel like our hands are tied.
Right.
And it puts us in a very uncomfortable spot.
Oh yeah.
When firemen, policemen, medics, rescue divers, when I can't fix something like that, I don't feel right. That's what we do. We make split-second decisions quickly, and if it's not right, we make another split-second decision to make it better. And when I can't bring you comfort in those split seconds, I don't feel right.
Yeah.
I feel like I did not do my job. If that kind of makes sense to you.
That makes sense to me.
I mean,
sure.
And when I was going off my shift, mandatory leaving, those people are holding pictures of their loved ones.
Right.
I couldn't fix it. And even though I was new to the job, I couldn't fix it. And, you know, it still haunts me to this day. Something I couldn't fix.
Can I tell you something?
Sure.
All right. This is, so I've heard this a lot, and this podcast has brought a lot out for me personally, along with a bunch of other stuff. And I've talked to survivors, families, and just the fact that you were there looking, just the fact that you were going through rubble, just the fact that you were putting your life on the line, regardless of whether it was trying to pull a body out or try to pull a survivor out, there's hope for them because of you.
Right.
And what you're doing. And I try to tell that to everybody, like, don't don't undermine yourself. Like, I get it. You feel an inch tall. And I'm going to relate that to a story here in a second, but you were doing good work. You were doing work that nobody else was able to do.
Sure.
I mean, even so, I want you to remember that, man.
No,
there are a lot
I
of
appreciate
people that were
And-
praying for you to be there.
No, and I don't take that lightly, and I really appreciate it. And I know
Sure.
we'll talk further. I've got
Oh, I can't,
some
I'm
more
looking forward to
in-depth
it.
stuff, you
I'm
know,
looking
and but that was probably, you know, the welcome to the service type
Yeah.
deal. I was a volunteer for 2 years when I got out of high school. I'd always wanted to be a fireman, but I had a full ride scholarship to play soccer. I'm like, I just don't want to go to school, and I really want to be a fireman. So I joined a volunteer service to make sure this is really what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And they sent me through EMT and EMT Advanced. And I was 19 years old. A friend of mine was a battalion chief at a small town in North Texas. And he told me to go up to Oklahoma City. That's the place to be. The benefits, the union, the equipment, that's where you need to be.
Cool.
And I did. And I showed up and there was 2,700 people applying for 100 spots.
Wow.
And I never thought there was a chance in hell a 19-year-old kid from Texas would ever have a sniffing chance. And, you know, you'd leave at 2 o'clock in the morning to be there at 8, even though it was a 2-hour trip in case I had a flat, you know?
Yeah.
No matter how many times they told me, you're too young to get what you have and all that. I went through it and I appreciated it because I'd done the volunteer, like, this is what I want to do. You know,
That's
and
awesome.
honestly, out of the 30 guys in my rookie school, none of them knew I was under 21. They was like, why don't you ever go out and have a beer with us? I can't. Like, you know, like I can't fail a test because this is my life.
Right.
This is what I want to do. I'm not taking this lightly.
That's awesome.
So, and with all that being said, the guy who sent me to Oklahoma City is one of the cherished moments in my career. I came out of my shift at the bombing, and there stood that battalion chief from Wichita Falls, Texas. Said, you made it, kid. They'd come up to send a group of guys in mutual aid, 4 or 5 guys on a rescue team, and I hugged him in the front of the Murrah building. He realized I was up there, and just by chance, we saw each other.
That is amazing.
And it was amazing. You know, like, he's the one that sent me, and we just by chance ran into each other.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm going to piggyback off one more thing that you talked about there, is because like the feeling like you're an inch tall and, you know, you want to do more and you can't.
Sure.
Right? So I'm going to relate one of my own stories. And this is actually like, when I tell you legitimately within the last week of this recording, I'm in Saudi Arabia and everything's going on in Western North Carolina. My family's going out there, and Western North Carolina got destroyed. Like, it got hammered by Hurricane Helene. And I had a ton of friends that were going out there, a ton of posts that were being like, we need volunteers, we need this, right, that. And as a guy in rescue in my entire career, over like 20 plus years of doing this, I felt like I needed to do something. And the only thing that I could do, and I at that moment in time, and I still look at it back right now, is connecting one person to another, is getting one friend of mine who I know could help. Let me connect you with him and him and him and him, her and her and her and her. Get up there, and this is who you need to get in touch with and get you done.
So can I elaborate on that?
Please do. Don't worry. I'm coming to you, Matt. I'm coming to you.
Settle down. So, I mean, in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So we have the tornadoes. I've worked all the F5 tornadoes. That's where we harvest them.
Yeah.
That's where they come from. But I mean, as a fireman in Oklahoma, and I know these guys, my East Coast brothers, right?
Yeah.
Tennessee, Georgia. Like, I'm worried they're affected. You know, it's unprecedented times.
Right.
I want to load up with chainsaws and, like, as a fireman and a first responder and as a man, hey man, let's get 12 guys with chainsaws and just go help
Don't steal my story.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's do what?
Don't steal my story.
I'm sorry. I didn't even know there was a story behind it. But I've even had guys at my station. Hey, man, let's load up in trucks and just go.
Yeah.
But I think that's what we all want to do.
That's right.
And I think it. And this is a side note. And I don't want to be the downer of the.
Come on, Bob.
A downer of the story, but being one of the retired guys,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's funny as emergency service personnel, especially police, retirement was very difficult. It really is. And since I retired, there was like 6 guys have killed themselves.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it is. So when you spend 30 years of doing like Cory just said, to where it's like your goal is to provide a service,
Yeah.
and you can't any longer. It's very difficult. And I think that's something that we sacrifice for years.
Right.
And it is one thing. Cory and I were talking about that earlier, and there is a huge issue with emergency personnel suicide. And I don't know if you could put that out there on your podcast, but
I do all the time.
right. So, when you retired, you went from a person that solves every problem to a number.
Right. Oh yeah.
It is very difficult. So, it's very important to be that resource to each other.
Yeah.
But I just want to put that out there. I know I was piggybacking on Cory's story that, you do 30 years of service, that we are a problem-solving entity.
Yeah.
And if you can't solve a problem, it's very difficult.
So
I'm
at 30 years, right, in February. I'm looking to maybe do one more.
Right on.
The day I walk out that door, I'm Cory. I'm not Major Britt of the Oklahoma, the entity I work for.
Yeah.
I am.
Nice.
I'm Cory Britt, citizen of Oklahoma.
Right.
No
right.
one knows me from Adam. I hold no rank. They don't know the credentials. They don't know what I've seen. That's scary.
Right.
I mean, as a person, you don't want the fire service or any service or your job to be your identity. But in
it kind of
reality,
is.
it kind of is.
Yeah.
It's hard to let go and like, hey, man, I will never get on a fire engine ever again. I will never be a fireman ever again. That's hard to let go of.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is huge.
Being here. With
Yeah,
the Frost team.
I still get to provide a service to people, what it means to have a difference, and they know we have them when they are in need.
Yeah.
They need us, and they feel comfortable when we are there, and that's huge. I don't take, just like Luke was saying, the man and wife. I've had a couple of them come up to me as the new guy, even like, we feel so much better when y'all are on the ground. When you're at a show, man, we are at comfort flying.
That's cool.
That's what these guys have built, and I've been able to just be a part of it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And so at the end of my career, I'm starting a new one, and it's that same brotherhood that like I've known my whole life, and you don't take it for granted.
That's awesome, dude.
I mean, I think everyone here feels the same way, that we're not at the station, we're not in a I don't know what the police call it. I think it's a donut house.
No, it's just Krispy Kreme. It's Krispy Kreme.
But you know what I'm saying? We're still that community that are all meshed together to do that certain cause.
Okay.
The mission we're called.
Yeah.
We might you.
Yeah.
You know what
Randomly.
I mean, we'll pick up anybody on the side of the road.
You know what? I appreciate that. I just want to say thank you. I was hitchhiking out there. Help me.
No,
That's awesome.
I don't take any of this lightly, but it's another way to serve people
Yeah.
where we're used to,
Yeah.
and we're serving a cause that people really, we don't want the recognition. It's what we do. It's just our way of life.
Right.
We're not out there to get awards or pats on the back. It's just,
I say that all the time.
It's just our way of life.
It's what we do.
Yeah. You know?
The awards, the accolations.
I don't
the
care
letters,
about that.
they're
thing,
nice to have.
Yeah.
But we don't need them.
Yeah.
That's not why we do this job.
Hey, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. I feel more comfortable flying because you're here.
Yeah, exactly.
That means way more than anything.
Right?
Yeah.
It's awesome. Hey, Cory, thank you for sharing that story. I do actually quite look forward to talking to you and hearing more of your stories. But we're going to divert real quick to thank our sponsors.
Bell is proud to sponsor Vertical Helicasts and their vision to hold meaningful mission, safety, and best practice conversations in the helicopter industry. The lessons learned from these conversations will undoubtedly shape the future of both new and veteran helicopter operators.
I got to bounce over to the mistake. I'm sorry, Matt. My bad.
The mistake. That's correct. That's correct.
Not the mistake.
Not the mistake. That
Mistake. Exactly.
is, just put that on your name tag. It's not going to be Matt. It's going to be a mistake.
That's correct.
Nice job, Joe. Well done.
My bad.
All right. So I'm going to throw this out to everybody real quick. So Matt, myself, and Luke this morning, we're sitting at breakfast, and I was asking you guys a couple questions and just about you. And one of my favorite questions is always like, do you remember your very first rescue? Do you remember your very first call? And you gave me one, and then right after that, you started mentioning a couple more, and there were more that stood out to you. And I actually got to sit back. I was like, wow, man, my boy's seen a lot. And I'm gonna say that for everybody here. All of you guys have a ton of experience and a ton of just rescues, cases, fires, police work. You've been around the block, you and me both. What's up? Let's Lori's here. But Matt, for you, is there another one that stands out? You are more than welcome to start with your first one, or you can pick one that stands out to you. A happy ending or happy ending.
Hey, gotta love those.
All right. Can that be
So-
on the podcast? Is that allowed?
You may need to edit
What?
that out.
It's minor. It's gonna pass. It's kind of sprinkling out. This isn't really rain. Ask North Carolina.
We are in the
I'm
desert.
just saying. It's moist. It's desert. A couple drops later and boom, done. Sorry, Matt. I'm cutting you off.
No
It's
worries.
probably
no
because you're
worries.
the mistake.
Exactly. So a little history. I have 23 years of service, retired out of the fire department, which all of mine were volunteer hours and service years. So
Wait a
I
minute,
was
I'm
never
sorry.
a paid guy.
You were a volunteer firefighter for how long?
23 years.
Dang. Hey,
So-
I'm going to throw this out there real quick. And I'm not trying to cut you off. For everybody that's out there that wants to get into search and rescue and fire, you can be a volunteer.
You can. Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. 23
Yep, I did
years
it
of
for
volunteer.
23 years.
Good for
never,
you.
never a paid guy. I do have a lot of stories. So I'm firefighter, also dive certified. So I'm on the rescue recovery team and also on Frost Rescue Water Team.
Frost Rescue Water Team. What?
So,
Okay.
But one of the stories that stands out, mentioning tornadoes. So it's not just structure fires. It's not the car accidents. It's my favorite part of the fire department was storms,
Like hurricanes and storms and
tornadoes.
yeah.
I loved working storms because you never knew what the call was going to be. It could be lightning strike to a house to cause the fire, tree fall on a house, and that's where my story is actually going. Is I had a rescue as a volunteer, first in, sharpened the chainsaws the night before because you know the storm's coming. Packed it in the old Toyota, got the tone, tree on a house, had a lady trapped in her bedroom. I was able to cut the tree off and rescue the lady.
What?
So that's one of the rescues that stands out for me is, like I said, it's not always the house fires. It's not always the car accidents or the medical calls, but it's the ones that you were in the right place at the right time.
All right, Matt. Now you got to bring in some details for this one. So there are a lot of listeners out here that love the details, including this guy right here. So you show up on a house that the lady's trapped in her bedroom because of a tree
That's
that
correct.
fell on the house.
That's correct.
Where do you start?
Well, as firefighters, we always have to size up the scene. So you go in, you figure out what's going on, how she's actually pinned. Then I had to physically saw the tree off of her.
What?
I cut a segment of the tree out.
What?
Yes,
All right, so she was pinned underneath the tree
that's correct.
in her bedroom?
In her bedroom.
In her house?
Yes,
Holy shit.
yes.
Oh,
There again, people
I
not
didn't
not believe
expect
this
that.
story.
That's why I do this podcast. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes, it was
This
a
is why
pine
I do
tree.
the podcast.
She was trapped in her bed. I still can picture the bed she was laying in. It was a wrought iron bed. She was laying in it, still under the sheets. Believe that shit or not. Tree come through the bedroom, landed on her, so she's obviously got debris on top of her. Trees pinned her down. So I had to make 2 relief cuts in the tree to remove the section to get her out.
Holy cow. Okay, keep going.
Well, literally that's the story. Once the tree's off, obviously the engine pulls up. We rescue her out of the house. EMT checks her out. She's good to go. She's released.
No way, that simple.
That simple, believe it or not.
Oh man, that's amazing. Oh, you didn't tell me that at breakfast. That was not one of the stories that came up at breakfast.
That's what I'm saying. I've got multiple stories, but that's one of the good endings, or as you mentioned, happy endings, because a lot of my calls were never happy endings. They were always endings that you want to try to forget, but you can't.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible.
You cherish those.
Hold
happy
on.
ending. You cherish the happy endings.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
they're few and far between. It can be as simplistic as that, and you cherish them.
That's awesome.
And a lot of times we don't get closure either.
Amen to that.
We'll run a call and we do everything right. The patient gets loaded up in the ambulance, they go to the hospital, and that's all we hear of it.
Right.
Very, very rarely will we have somebody come to a station, say, hey, you did this for me or you did that for me, and I'm alive because of you. So I think it's fair to say a lot of the stress we have from the job comes from not knowing.
Yes.
Right. So did they survive altogether? Did they live a healthy, happy life, or did they pass away 3 or 4 days later? I think that's probably the toughest part of it. We, of course, we always want to help. We always want to fix things. And not knowing what happened is pretty tough.
Yeah.
So talking about the closure part, that's the reason I'm on the dive team. We never get dispatched to a dive to rescue somebody. It's always a recovery.
Right.
We're the last dispatch trip to get that person back to their family. Truthfully, nobody wants to dive dark water because of the unknown, but I do it just for closure. As he mentioned, he being Cory.
Yeah.
You do it for closure for the family. And even if you're unsuccessful, the family's still watching.
Right. Yes.
So they know that you're trying, you're putting forth the effort. So that's closure to them, even if you're unsuccessful.
That is so true.
And I think that's why we started Frost. One of the main reasons, it's like whether or not our rescues are successful. I mean, because we all know that some air show incidents are non-survivable, but we want to make sure that the family knows that everything was done 100% possible for their loved one. And if less than a couple second response is to make sure they have that ability to say, everything was 100% done. So I've been to some years ago. That's why we got into Frost, to where
That's awesome.
we make sure that everything possible is done to make sure that they were safe.
And that's amazing. Matt, let me come back to you real quick and just say thank you for sharing that story. That's what a great happy ending. Very different than your very first rescue.
Most
I'll leave it at that. So to be continued. So hopefully someday you come on and share the rest of your stories.
Sure.
To you, but
or if there's time tonight, we'll come back around to the gory stuff. But like I said, I wanted to give the happy ending.
let's not tonight.
Sure.
We're you know what? We're enjoying some bourbon, some cigars, and a little campfire. This is amazing, and I want to end it on a high note. But one of the things that I want to touch on, and I'm glad that Bob and Joe have a couple mics right here, because we're gonna bring it into you guys right now. And you guys have picked guys on this team for Frost that have a boatload of experience. Each one of these guys came by and told a single story. What did you say? 23 years you've been on?
23 years.
How many years have you been doing it there, Luke?
10.
And then Tim, how long have you been doing it?
42.
42 years? Do you want to lie about that?
42.
It's all.
Graduated my first fire academy in 1982.
Let's see.
I was 2 years old.
Oh, snap.
Cory, I need a diaper change.
Cory, how long you been doing it?
30 years.
And then Joe, how long you been doing it?
15.
15 years. This is, I mean, look at, you guys have an amazing crew here, a ton of experience between all of you. And now you are setting up to help like an air show, like of all, like the coolest places you can be, like, and I say the coolest place because I love aviation, but I mean, we're at a place where it's supposed to be feel good, it's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to bring the family, the kids, and oh, check out this airplane, this helicopter, watch this stunt, look at the smoke, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And you guys are there as safety with all of this experience coming through. Bob, Joe, well done, gentlemen, well done.
Well,
so
thank you.
I'm going to turn the floor over to you guys, and how'd you pick these guys? I mean, we get the experience, but
The mistake.
Oh my God, the mistake. That is like the best story.
Let's go, dude.
That was like the best story. I was like, oh my God, this guy's huge. We don't have a fire suit to fit him. It's like,
True story.
it's like-
We didn't know what we were going to do.
I was
'cause
like,
we were,
I was
Joe,
scared
you're
to
gonna
bend
have to
down
wear
most
a
of the
boulder holder to give up that to Matt. But you know, I think the general public doesn't understand that the public service,
Yeah.
emergency services, whether it's police or fire, we all dedicate our lives. And we've always said on the police department, we'll take a bullet for a stranger. It's just the way it is. We don't know who they are, but I'll put my body in front of a stray bullet just to take it for them. And the firefighters do the same thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, we organize this team because as an air show pilot myself, I've seen some things that in the industry years ago, it's made a huge change now. Things are so much better, mainly because of frost.
Yeah.
And we brought things to light to where we need to make some changes, and it's totally different. But we do it because our passion is, and I think I can speak for everyone here, is like aviation has always been a big part of my life with Dad in the Air Force. So we love two things. We love aviation and we love emergency response, right? So we love providing a service to help people. And whether you're in the fire service or the police department, it's a very simple thing. We like people and we want to help them. I mean, it basically comes down to that simple thing. So now it's even twice as nice because now we have an aviation thing that we love. It's a passion and we're helping it. So we picked these guys that have the same passion. So, and I trust them with my life, and the air show performers also trust us with their lives. And I'd put my life on line for any of them. I would sacrifice my life for any of the performers because that's just what we have decided to do as public servants.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
so we're very fortunate. You know, from day one, Bob and I were adamant that this was going to be called a team. It is a business, but we run it as a team.
Well, heck, it's in the name.
Right.
Frost team.
That's right. Yeah.
I got you,
So
man.
even
Come on.
even everything down to our hiring process, it's unorthodox. When Cory and Tim were talking about rushing the team, we bring them out to a show. Their expenses are paid. They don't get a paycheck, but they get to work alongside of us. Because we spend so much time on the road with each other, it's imperative that we all get along. So the guys come out, they rush the team. And at the end of the weekend, the established Team Frost members make that decision. Is it a thumbs up or thumbs down? If it's a thumbs down, sorry, it didn't work out, and we send them back home. If it's a thumbs up, welcome to the team. First round's on you.
Backwash.
So it helps everybody have a sense of ownership as part of the business. And that's why we have the best of the best. We have great team. And these guys all make Bob and I look good. They make the brand look good. We have tremendous amount of respect from everybody. Why do we have that respect? Because we've got the greatest people on this earth on this team, the greatest team in the United States.
Man, that's good stuff, man.
Piggyback on that and Cory's response and everybody else's, it is a team. If I'm first in or if somebody else is first in, everybody knows they have each other's back. You don't have to worry about if help's coming or somebody going to bow down, somebody going to back out. No, we're going to be there 100%. And that's part of the team.
And the air show industry, and I think it's where we stand out, is the performers. as a performer myself and all the team members, since it's a life of ours to where we go to these air shows all the time. We know the performers; they're like our friends. So, what would you do for your friend? Right? You basically sacrifice your life for a friend.
Yeah.
And that's the way we look at it. So that's why we're here. We are basically saying we will go above and beyond for the life of our friend, whether it's an air show performer or a racer or whoever. So if we're here, that's just what we do.
Man, that's awesome, you guys. I'll tell you what, I cannot thank you enough for, one, all of you coming on to sharing a story, two, allowing me to be here with you guys. Like I said, I know we talked about it in the last podcast about Frost, and you guys were like, yeah, come on out. And I'm like, uh-huh. And here we are together, the group of us, and I get to literally shadow next to you guys for the entire weekend, and I'm beyond stoked to be here. So I want to thank you for allowing me to come and join you. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm looking forward to the rest of this weekend. Now, I do need a little bit of help from Lori over here to close us out, okay? Because, Lori, you haven't said too much. So there's a way that we close this out, this podcast, okay? And what we do is we're going to look at the camera. We're going to say, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here, okay? But I'm going to come back to that. So, Joe and Bob, do you guys have anything else you want to touch on before we close this out?
Thank you. Thank you for coming out and hanging out with us, kind of capturing what it is we do behind the scenes. It hasn't been done before. A lot of people don't know, and that's fine. But now we're happy we're able to shed a light maybe to some of the performers and the racers and the crowd, what exactly happens behind the scene of an air race, an air show, and what's involved in being in Team Frost. So a big thank you to these 6 guys sitting here in front of us. This would not be possible without the A-team, these guys right here.
A big shout out to the Real ResQ.
Hey, thanks.
And it's
That's a capital Q, by the way.
the capital Q, and it's we are all our rescue professionals, and when we swore to uphold, whether it's the fire service or law enforcement or whatever, we have basically dedicated our lives to those of others and you yourself.
Yeah.
And I thank you for your service to our country.
My pleasure.
And we are here at an industry that is very close knit, very tight industry, whether it's air racing or air shows. We know everyone that flies, and we appreciate you giving us this exposure, and we're here for everyone. We have their backs in the air show industry.
It's awesome.
So fun fact that he hasn't spoken at all, but sitting to my right is our air boss for the weekend, Owen Ashurst, and he's been quiet. He's not a part of the team, but it's so weird.
Hey, real quick, hold on.
Yeah.
What is an air boss?
So
explain that real
come
quick.
Friday at 10 o'clock, the man to my right, Owen here, we call him boss. We don't call him by his first name or his last name. It's just boss. He owns the airspace. Like, he is the boss. He makes the decisions. He makes the calls. He tells us when to go. He tells us when not to go. He is the boss. He is the top of the food chain, and we all fall under him. So it's kind of cool to have boss sitting here to my right and getting to hear some of the stories of Frost and how Frost came to fruition. Probably stuff he didn't know before. And he said more than a little. And of course, he's chimed in a couple times in my ear saying, wow, I didn't know that, or just taken back by some of our stories. So it's a real treat to have him here, hearing everything we had to say.
That's pretty awesome, man. Owen? Go ahead. Jump on here real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think of these guys right here?
When I know that Frost is at a show, that's a box I can check.
Man, that's awesome.
Done.
Dude, we're gonna call that
Done.
easy button.
Yeah, easy button. Easy button. It's like boom. Yeah, Office Depot done. I know CFR is top notch. That's something I don't have to worry about, and I can focus on the show. And I know if I turn to my right or turn to my left, and it's Tim or Joe, whoever's on the stand with me, and I'm saying, it's your airport, it's done.
Wow.
These guys are top of the food chain. Seriously.
That's killer.
They're amazing.
Right on.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for sharing that. I got one more thing over here with oh my gosh, really? I mean,
Oh, Lord.
Come on,
Cut the
dude.
mic.
It's really hard. So I
Call this the Cory Show.
yeah. So I
Thanks
just
for the Real ResQ the Cory Show.
this is
Damn it.
I was talking to Lori about.
Yeah.
In the air show industry, STEM is huge, right?
What is
The
it?
STEM industry.
The STEM, okay.
For kids coming up with aerospace and science and electronics and math, there's a lot of kids that don't know what we do.
Right.
That might be interested in a first response type deal. And I think it's cool to use your platform to maybe educate kids that are not interested in, I want to be an aircraft mechanic, I want to be a pilot. They might want to be a first responder, and it's still a part of aviation. So I think that's a huge avenue that's really unexplored that can be used on your podcast. So I just wanted to bring that up, that this brings a whole new avenue to a lot of people.
I hope so. I hope there are a lot of people that decide to join like what we do. And I say what we do is in police officers, firemen, rescue people, and medics, EMTs. I don't care where you are. Go volunteer. Get on a mountain team. Get whatever. There are people in need out there, and there are people that love what we do, and there's a reason why we do it. So this is awesome. Gentlemen, thank you so much for helping me out.
Thank you, sir.
Lori, all right, so hand that camera over to Joe. Get it started. Oh, wait, that's even better. We need a microphone over here for you. All right, so we're going to look at this camera. We're going to say, ladies and gentlemen, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here, okay?
All right.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen,
we
are out of here.
Go. Now, it's time for me to pull chocks and take off. But before I go, I'm always looking for the memorable rescues that people have done. If you have one that you're willing to share or know somebody who has a story, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to highlight it here at the Real ResQ. For everybody that is standing by for that SAR alarm, remember, those in distress are praying for a miracle. They are going to get you. So until next time, fly safe and swim hard. Thank you for joining me today here at the Real ResQ Podcast, powered by Vertical Helicast. We'd also like to say thank you to our sponsors for this episode.
Bell is proud to sponsor Vertical Helicasts and their vision to hold meaningful mission, safety, and best practice conversations in the helicopter industry. The lessons learned from these conversations will undoubtedly shape the future of both new and veteran helicopter operators.
Precision Aviation Group. Mission-critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed-wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory, globally 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
And the realrescuestore.com. Your shop for all your podcast-worthy gear. From comfortable shirts to cozy mugs, we've got everything to showcase your love for your favorite podcast. So what are you waiting for? Head to the realrescuestore.com and let your gear do the talking. Hey Rollerblade, what do you think? I think this is going to be good for Lori for the Frost trailer. Do you think we can make it fit? What do you think? Yeah, let's get it over there and see what she can do with it.